Hello and welcome to H2o Solutions, or Captain H2o, Mark. And today we're going to talk about water flows through pressure washers. As you know, in the detailing industry, we like to stay around 1300 psi. We really don't want to go above that, it's just not necessary. But what we are looking for is GPM, gallons per minute. We can achieve this GPM by changing our tips out. Just like in a fire service, we're always looking for more GPM, not necessarily more pressure. And we do that by changing the tip or the orifice size of our nozzles. So today we're going to do that. I'm going to show you with our pressure gauge here how I can take this 3000 psi gas pressure washer and then achieve the gallons I want through changing the different tips. Today I have a 2, a 4, and a 5 GPM tip size with a 40 degree. They're all 40 degrees, so we're going to see what we can do on our flows. So for the most part, we know that, hey, when we open it up like this, we're going to get our maximum GPM, but we just don't have the pressure for cleaning. So what we're trying to do is increase our orifice size, but decrease our pressure. So ideally, I want to get this down to about 1300 psi. I can deal with anything from 1600 psi down, but ideally I want to stay in that 1300. It gives me the cleaning pressure behind it, but it gives me the GPM I want. And especially, this is especially important when we start talking about foam. Now we're changing the orifice size in our foam receptor or our foam cannon, and we're able to create some awesome foam when you have a machine that will produce pressures like 3000 psi and 2 GPM or 3 GPM in this case. So the one foam cannon I have is obviously the PF22, made by MTM, and that one puts out, it's rated up to 5000 psi. So we're obviously not going to be anywhere near that, but I know a lot of you, especially in the mobile detailing, would like to be into the gas, but it's too much pressure. So the simple fix, by just changing your orifice size, order these. You can do them on Amazon, Northern Tool. I found that Lowe's actually is a good little spot. Sometimes they have a decent amount of pressure washer stuff there, but you're just looking for that 4 GPM rating, especially if you're using any one of the regular machines like the Ryobi with the Honda motor on it, and I always kind of want to gear towards that. Also during this thing, I did an upgrade on my Honda. I hadn't used it for a long time, and I just recently moved to a trailer. So when I did that, my generator wouldn't support my Kranzel. It would kept on kicking off or kicking the breaker. So I went to the gas, and I hadn't touched my gas pressure washer in a while. So I obviously needed to do a tune-up on that. So I have a little video on taking apart the carburetor and cleaning out the jets and the bowl area, which obviously had gas sitting in it for an extended period of time. So, and then getting the pressure washer back up to running. One of the main issues I had, I finally got it started, but then it would only run on choke. So when it's only running on choke, that means usually one of the jets is clogged up, and that sure as heck was what it was, and I cleaned out the jets, and I have a little brief video on that aspect. So let's get into this, especially because I have a fire truck sitting behind me, and that's my background. We talk about solid bore versus fog nozzles, and achieving a maximum GPM on our fire to overwhelm the fire to be able to put it out. And in the car cleaning or truck business, and in my case fire truck cleaning business, I want that maximum GPM to be able to get these trucks clean. They're a big unit, and I need something pretty substantial to be able to help me accomplish this goal. So let's jump into this. Right. So right now we're running a 2.0 tip. I've got almost 2500 psi and running about 2 gallons per minute. So you can see in there about 2500. Pretty good kickback on this nozzle when you have that. And again, it's a small orifice, so we're looking about 2 GPM with this small tip. So then I'm going to take it up to 4 gallon per minute tip, and let's see what our pressure drops down to. Okay, so we have a 4 GPM tip. We're about 1400 PSI, putting out a regular good stream on here, and I'm running about 1400 GPM on this. 4 gallons per minute, 1400 GPM. This is about where we want to be. All right, now we're going to go up to a 5. Okay, so we're at a 5 GPM tip. Now we're at 1200 PSI. Pretty good stream. For a car, this is where I really want to be. Okay, so I'm at 1200 PSI. I can put my finger in. The stream, not bad at all. Decent amount of kickback, but again, I jump back up to 3000 when I'm not flowing, but when I am flowing, about 1200 PSI. That's where I want to be. All right, and I'm achieving those GPMs that I want. All right, so good little tip. So here's the thing. Just remember that you could change out your tip size and get the pressures that you want. Remember that our 2.0, our 2.5 tip gave us about 2500 PSI, somewhere in that neighborhood. It was real close up there. Dropping to 4, we dropped down to about 1400 PSI, and 4.5 or 5, we dropped down to 1200 PSI. 1200 PSI is where I want to be, especially with the cars, but on these large rigs like this, I don't mind being, I could use the 1400, that's fine, but I like the 12 because of all the decals and stuff that we have. I always like to be a little bit more cautious on that. So just remember, if you want to drop your pressure, increase your tip size. Increasing your tip size gives you more GPM, more flow, but it'll decrease your pressure. That's our tip for the day. And it really helps having on one of these gauges. I got all this stuff. This is at Northern Tool. The 4.5 tip I got at Northern Tool, and then I was able to find the rest of them on Amazon pretty cheap. So just something for you to think about. If you're working on these kind of trucks, are you working off a gas pressure washer? That changing your tip size, decrease your pressure, but increase your GPM. So hope that was helpful for you guys, and we'll see you on our next video.